The Huvenen family of Peoria, Arizona is like a lot of American families. They're having a hard time figuring out ways to save enough money.
I want to be able to sleep knowing that we can put food on the table tomorrow and send our son to college.
I'm going to try to provide some strategies for them to plan for a more secure financial future. A lot of families these days are really worried about the economy, they're worried about losing their jobs, and so emergency funds have started to become really a prominent part of the financial planning discussion. How much have you got put aside?
Well, we probably have about a month's worth.
3 months is a really good goal to shoot for. The fact that you have 2 incomes coming in mean that even if one of you should lose your job, you still have a check. You're probably less vulnerable than many American families. The single earner families really need to be much more conservative. What are you doing to save for retirement?
We also both have Roth IRAs.
If you can leave the money alone, that's always best. It's always best. But the nice thing about a Roth IRA is you can take out your original contribution. You don't have to worry about paying income taxes on that money. It's just your money you're taking back. Another piece of the financial flexibility pie is your access to credit. How are your credit scores?
Our credit is good. Our scores are over 700. We do have access to credit if need be. We did accumulate some credit card debt.
A lot of Americans believe erroneously that credit card debt is normal. It actually isn't. Interestingly, more than half of the United States households have no credit card debt. Yeah, that's not what you hear, but that's the actual Fed statistics. What's happening is there's a small percentage of people who have huge credit card debts, and that's skewing the average for everybody else. It's toxic debt. It doesn't help you get ahead. Because it has variable rates, you never know what's coming down the pike next. It's just really bad for your financial health. A lot of people feel like, I've really got to build up this emergency fund, the money's got to be there. Well, in your particular circumstance, having that cash is a little bit less important, so you should continue on that path of paying down that credit card debt. Now, when you are ready to start working on the emergency fund, it's a good idea to separate it from your day-to-day spending. Where is your emergency fund now?
Unfortunately, it is just in a savings account at our bank, so it's just as easy for me to go to the ATM and take that money out as it is from my checking account.
That's a real frustration with a lot of people. They start an emergency fund and then the money gets spent. They just give up on the idea. And here are some things to think about to help with that. One is to be very clear about what the emergency fund is for. A real emergency is a job loss. It's a medical bill that you can't pay any other way. It's something unexpected and drastic, and that's what the money should be set aside for. And a lot of people, they have a car repair, they have a home repair, they dip into the emergency fund. Well, that's better than going to the credit cards. But the problem with that thinking is those things are actually very predictable. They might not be regular expenses, but if you have a car, you're going to pay for car repairs. If you have a home, you're going to pay for home repairs. So you really need to be saving for that separately in another bucket somewhere so that you have that money and you're not tempted to go after the emergency fund. Is it easy just to go into that money because it's there?
Right.
Okay. What kind of things have you spent your emergency fund on?
Eating out or, new clothes or something that I know that we don't need, and then I'll just sweep a little from the emergency fund into the checking account.
Yeah.
Retail therapy every
It happens. Yeah. It happens. Well, that's an appropriate use for a normal savings account that's just attached to your checking. But keeping the emergency fund separate is a really good idea. Online banks are pretty terrific. You can set up an account, online bank, and you can say emergency fund. Okay. Any kind of barrier that gets you to stop for a minute and think about the difference between wants and needs. Think about the difference between an irregular expense or an unexpected expense and a true emergency. Will help you preserve that money for what it's for, which is to be there when you really need it. It's going to require day-to-day discipline, even more than we have right now, to build up these funds that we need. But basically, we're on the same page as far as our long-term goals.